Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to League Racing TV for a second attempt at the first round of the Season 2 of Formula 2. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Car Mentalist, taking you through Formula 2 proceedings as always. And again, obviously, I'm joined in the commentary box by TFB_Buck or Brandon. And Brandon, unfortunately, we just had a little bit of a lobby glitch first time round. Bit of a baptism of fire for you in your first commentary, get a lobby glitch straight away. But first qualifying of the season, obviously getting a custom grid built for us at the moment. First qualifying of the season, though, pretty interesting, and it was Scuba that ended up on pole position.
Yeah, I mean, that was unbelievable commentating around that lap, and it was really tidy driving. I mean, Scuba had control going around there. That was easy to see. But it wasn't Scuba that crashed. It was the game that crashed. It crashed before we even got to the first corner. What's going on?
I just think just part of a process really for this game, isn't it? I've had it a couple times now where it crashes because of someone maybe disconnecting on the formation app. Scuba was actually the one that disconnected, unfortunately, on the formation app, and then the formation app never really ended because of it. So fingers crossed this time round everything is smooth sailing. It looks like everyone's readying up already, so I think the custom grid has already been made by Conti, so thank you to Conti, our lobby host, for sorting that out for us so quickly. So fingers crossed this time round everything is good for us, and we should see hopefully everyone starting on the same set of tyres that they were initially going to start that race on. Obviously the good thing for Formula 2 is if you set a time on a set of tyres, that's not the set of tyres you start the race on, so you don't really have that kind of problem that we usually do see in Formula 1 races. But one thing of note is that Deadly Flew, third on the grid, was the highest person starting on the hard compound tyres, and he's going to be one to look out for, isn't he?
It's such a great name, Deadly Flu.
It is a good name, actually. We spoke about that, didn't we, a little bit?
Yeah, stay away from Deadly Flu. I mean, one of the great things about commentating these games is there's so many cool names on the grid. So, and we'll do our best to pronounce everybody as they want it. We probably have to fix that along the way.
Yeah, obviously, Deadly Flu, a great name. We actually mentioned that a little bit before we started the stream, didn't we? That is a pretty good name, a pretty apt name for the times we currently live in as well.
That's true.
Yeah, definitely. But he's obviously starting third on the grid on a set of hard compound tyres. So he's gone for something a little bit different. Hopefully he stays on those hard compound tyres for the start of this race. I mean, we could be talking about it now and you could end up going for a set of mediums. But starting on the hard compound tyres...
He'll get through that first corner on hard tyres. That's the challenge, if they're warm enough.
Yeah, definitely. If they're warm enough, you've got to get them warmed up on the formation up, and if they're not warm, the amount of grip you're going to lose as well, because these cars are so difficult to get off the line. It's going to be really difficult to get that car stopped and turned for turn one. So starting on the hard compound tyres is a risk, but I think that the benefits of it could pay off massively if you're decent enough on the hard compound tyres and you can manage the lack of grip that they have. Obviously Bahrain as well. Bahrain as a circuit, obviously a traditional opening track for the Formula 2 season. Really, really great track for racing, isn't it?
I mean, it's just so nice. It's the way the lights down on the cars, the driving around. It's like there's not a scratch on them. The whole setup looks so beautiful.
It really does, yeah. It really does look great watching these cars drive under the lights. Obviously, the racing was pretty good as well in the daytime, but I think putting it into the nighttime has really highlighted how fun this track is to watch and to commentate over. Just looking as well at the people on the tyres, Jetty's actually gone back onto the mediums. Everyone else is starting on the same tyres that they were initially going to start on. So Deadly Flu has stuck with that strategy of going on the hard compound tyres. So we've got to look out for him at the start. And obviously we mentioned it a little bit before in the previous stream, but for those are people that weren't in the previous stream, I'd imagine Svensson currently down 15th and 16th on the grid, two people that didn't set competitive times, looking to work their way through the field as quickly as possible.
Oh no, we've had oh no!
Oh yeah, we've had 4 people disqualified from the session, disqualified from the formation app. I think we've had a few people come into contact already on the formation app. So those guys then are going to be starting the race with very cold tyres.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
I didn't see what happened there, but
yeah, by the looks of it, I think I think a bit of contact between Conti and Mays, and then obviously contact between Silas and Yitzler, and that's put them back onto the formation, back onto the grid, so they won't be able to partake in the rest of the formation lap. So that means that their tyres are going to be stone dead cold by the time they get to the grid, by the time everyone else gets to the grid. So that's going to be very difficult to watch out for, especially with Conti and Mays being right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, this is a really strong field to start with. We've got 16 drivers. It's the first race of the season. Everybody wants to come out of turn 1, 2, 3 pretty okay.
Yeah, definitely. First race of the season. Everyone wants to make a good impression in the first race as well. Obviously, this is the first time we get to see what the pecking order is for the rest of the season. So coming out of the gate strong would be a great way to start off. And we've got to look out for the people at the front like Scuba and AfriFrish trying to get the best start to the season they possibly can. And then people at the back of the grid maybe trying to make up for maybe a lackluster qualify on the likes of Honey Badger and Svensson as well. Everyone then getting ready to line up on the grid. We've got our cars coming down towards their grid slot. Fingers crossed this time round the race actually gets underway. I would love to see the race actually get underway. I mean, who knows? I've had it in the past where we've had to do the formation like 4 or 5 times. We'll wait and see, but hopefully we are our second time lucky. We'll wait and see. We just got
guys, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. Yeah, so Gort is the last person to line up on the grid. He was a little bit further back after a spin coming out of 13, but he lines up into his grid slot now, and it looks like we are just about to get ready. We are going to get ready then for the first race of the season, the feature race here at Bahrain. The lights are coming on ahead of the drivers. Who's going to get the best start off the front row? Lights are out and away they go. It's a fairly even start. Deadly Flu has dropped completely off the line. Those hard tyres not up to temperature. He's dropped a couple places already towards the first corner, but Scuba down towards turn 1, moves to the inside line to defend the line from AfriFrish. AfriFrish can't go around the outside, so he stays in second place. Stebian has had a great start to this race in the dams. He's up to third place. Siege currently running in fourth place in the Sharu car as well, but it's Scuba that leads the way coming down towards turn 4. Everyone through the first 3 corners safely and cleanly. No front wing damage for anyone as it seems so far. Scuba leads the way. AfriFrish and then Stebian. Siege, Conti, Mashiro's up to 6th place. Deadly Flu on those hard compound tyres has had an absolute disaster. He's side by side now with Mashiro as Mashiro goes down the inside line. We've had a spinner in the background. That's Yitzler. Fallen to the back of the field, and now under pressure Deadly Flu is going to get dived by Jetty, who's gone down the inside. He switched to those medium compound tyres and that's worked for him. Oh, a little bit of contact on the exit of turn 8, but Deadly Flu just about gets away with it and is now under attack from Gort as well. So those hard compound tyres for Deadly Flu not working in the slightest.
Definitely not. I mean, if Deadly Flu could choose again, probably just go with the rest of the pack and stick on those mediums. That was a pretty respectable start from everybody. They kept it tidy the first couple of corners through the start there.
Yeah, very, very respectable. We've had another spin. Both of the HWA Race Lab cars have spun, so Gort spun coming out of a 10. He's got going with no damage, and he's right on the back of the queue. Was in front. Oh, contact there between Invictus and Silas has spun the car through 12. I think he's got away with no damage as well, but that's another spinner on the opening lap, and Mashiro's working his way through the field nicely in that Uni Virtuosi. Down the inside towards turn 14, gets P5 off of Conti, so Mashiro, from maybe a lackluster qualifying from himself, is up into the top 5. Scuba leads the way, so that's the fastest lap of the race. Siege is currently running in 4th. That's a little bit of a timing glitch on my end, so that will fix itself when they get through the first sector split. But it's Scuba leading from AfriFrish, and then it is in 3rd place across the line was Stebian in the Dams car. So Mashiro holds on to 5th, just ahead of Conti. One person who's had an amazing start to this race is Honey Badger. Honey Badger started this race.
Yes. Come on, Honey Badger, you can do it!
He's going for it. Look at that, round the outside of turn 3. He's going for a move on Neymar this time round. Is he going to get the move done before 4? He is well before turn 4 without DRS. Neymar trying to come back down the inside, but isn't close enough. Honey Badger, I think when the timing glitch sorts itself out, I think that might be 8th place for Honey Badger when he gets through the split. Let's have a look as it rejigs itself now as everyone is coming through. I think it's actually 9th place by the looks of things, but Honey Badger started this race in 15th. He's already half the way through the field.
Yes, go Honey Badger, go Honey Badger. So the first race here, yeah, I'm one of those commentators that just who can we commentate on? Well, let's start with the ones that we've heard about.
Absolutely, yeah. Honey Badger, unlike Deadly Flu, he's worked those hard tyres beautifully. Silas hasn't been able to make the hard tyres work either, but Honey Badger is loving those hard compound tyres. Gort's crashed coming out of turn 10. And one thing to note, there is no safety car, so that means that nothing's going to come out for that. Gort then spinning out of turn 10 for the second lap in a row has spun the car at the same corner, and that's him out of the race in the first race of the season. That is such a shame for Gort's first race of the season to end like that.
That's a pity. But I definitely see a lot of the drivers here, they're swinging a little bit, a lot of understeer coming out of some of the corners.
Yeah, definitely with these new 18-inch rims, a little bit of a different tyre model means these cars are understeering a lot more than the previous Formula 2 cars. Coming into the start-finish straight for the 3rd time, it's Siege looking like the closest person to making a move. He looks to the inside of Stebian down towards turn 1. Stebian blocks the line a little bit, but doesn't get to the inside just in time. Brakes very late though, just the Dams car keeps it around the outside. Well defended there from the Dams as Siege just trying to come back at him down through turn 3 and up towards turn 4. First time DRS is enabled now, so Siege trying to get the move done. Someone's had a moment in the background. That's Mashiro that's gone off the road, having gained all those places on the opening laps. Mashiro is back down to 9th place after a little bit of a spin coming through too, and out of 3. And meanwhile, Stebian holds on to 3rd place for the time being. But while Stebian holds on to 3rd, the top 2 were starting to disappear off into the distance.
Yeah, it was a nice battle here on here for 3rd, 4th place. It definitely looks like Siege is being patient. It's one of the skills of this game. It's being patient, waiting for the right time. We definitely see it with young, inexperienced drivers. They can't hang around, they can't wait for it. They make a mistake. So definitely Siege is looking strong here.
Definitely, yeah, and that is definitely a trait of Siege. I've noticed in the past he is very, very calm with his driving, very, very smart. He goes for the right moves, or he waits for the pit strategy to make the moves stick, and it's worked for him in the past before. That's why he's been a championship contender in Formula 2 for a few years now, and he's now running in 4th place, still stuck behind that Dams car, but not wanting to make the move. He's got a nice gap back to Conti, currently running in 5th place, so he doesn't need to make the move. Jetty's on the move now, though, in the ART, currently running in 6th place, looking to try to get up to 5th place. Deadly Flew, after that terrible opening lap, seems to have now got into some sort of rhythm on those hard compound tyres. He's holding on in 7th, but Honey Badger's now up to 8th, having with Mashiro now making that mistake and dropping back down to 9th. Honey Badger has officially worked himself through half of the grid already on the set of hard compound tyres. So your prediction of Honey Badger being on the podium isn't too unlikely.
Come on, Honey Badger, you can do it, come on!
Got to get a prediction right in the first race. Meanwhile, Siege has gone down the inside of Stebian into turn 1. He's got the move done. Stebian, I think, decided not to battle too hard. Conti, on the other hand, is trying to defend really, really hard as Jetty is trying to get the run. And now Deadly Flew trying to get the run on the pair of them to the inside line. They go 3 wide down towards turn 4.
We've got 3 wide!
They're going to get the move done. Jetty gets it done around the outside. Deadly Flew in the end had to back out of the move. And Honey Badger is going to try and get another place, and he's done it. Up to 7th place. He's now the lead driver on the hard compound tyres, capitalising on Deadly Flew being a little bit cautious. Honey Badger now up into 7th place on the hard compound tyres in that high tech. I tell you what, high tech at the moment, currently running in 1st with Scuba and 7th with Honey Badger on the hard compound tyres. They have got some driver lineup for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I mean, Scuba's has taken control of the race already, but Honey Badger just drove through that. There were 3 cars wide, and Honey Badger just drove through like, okay, if you're going to give me that amount of space, I'll just drive through. So driving really neatly and tidy at the moment. Yeah,
going really well, and he's already onto the back of Conti now for P6 in this race. Jetty maybe holding it. Jetty's obviously just got the move done, but he hasn't had enough time to really break away from the Trident man. So Honey Badger kind of stuck in a little bit of a queue at the moment, and all 3 of them running wide there, coming out of turn 12. That's another thing to note as well. Time penalties around this track are fairly easy to pick up. Oh, Honey Badger's dropped it! Honey Badger's dropped the car, coming out of 13, and he's hit the wall on the exit of the corner just as we were about to hype up. What a race he's had! He's gone and crashed the car.
That's the commentator's curse. Honey Badger, we're so sorry. We're so sorry.
Oh, my word. I've done it so many times in the past, and Honey Badger, I think it's just a curse I have over Honey Badger, because every time I commentate over him, something seems to go wrong for him. And after such a great opening few laps, he's spun the car. That is such a shame, but at least a positive he can take away. Siege is into the pit lane for the first time.
In the pit, yeah.
Yeah, early one into the pit lane, then he's just passed Stebby in the lap before, and he's the first person into the pit lane. So maybe trying to go for an undercut on Afri Fresh, trying to get closer to the top 2.
What a nice start to this race. I mean, it's definitely exciting watching the Formula 2, watching them come out of the corners. We had 3 wide going into, which corner was that? Was that corner 4?
Yeah, turn 4.
I mean, that was nice.
Really, really nice stuff. Yeah, so Siege then back out onto the track in 13th place. Siege has picked up a time penalty, I think, for speeding in the pit lane. So that is going to cost him towards the end of this race. He's going to have to try and build as much of a gap as possible when Silas has just picked up his 2nd time penalty for track extending coming out of turn 4. So he's obviously struggling maybe a little bit with understeer in this race. We've already seen a lot of people, while Honey Badger's opening few laps were great, he spun the car completely on his own out of turn 13, suggesting that those hard tyres are very difficult to drive on, as Invictus, I think, just had a moment there, and Svensson's now up into 10th place in the Carlin, so he's now back inside the top 10, which is good to see from him. From last on the grid, he's working his way forwards as well. But those hard tyres at the moment do seem to be very difficult to drive, so maybe staying out as long as possible in the mediums is the way to go. Yeah,
we still have Deadly Flew managing okay up in 6th place. Again, keeping it steady. But these penalties in the pit lane, we definitely do want to see those.
Yeah, it's as you say that, Afri Frisch is the next one to do exactly the same thing. So second place man picks up a speeding penalty in the pit lane, and that all but ends his possible charge for the win against Scuba. Mashiro also doing the same thing as well, getting a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's so easy to do, especially with the brakes on this car, and Svenden as well. So that's 3 drivers out of about 5, 3 out of 6 that have come into the pit lane have all picked up a speeding penalty in the pit lane. So half of them.
These drivers can be irritated. They lose like half a second or a second at a corner. It's like, no. And then they get 5 seconds in the pit lane. That's not cool. We can't do that.
Yeah, can't do that. That is going to cost them so much time. Meanwhile, out of the pit lane then comes Afri Frisch, and then Siege is just coming down the pit lane. Siege comes out barely ahead of Stebian, so the undercut hasn't really worked too well for Siege. He hasn't really pulled any sort of gap on the Dams driver behind or closed in on Afri Frisch in front. So it's just suggesting maybe that the hard compound tyres aren't quite up to temperature for Siege just yet. Afri Frisch and Stebian obviously have got a lap for them to warm up their tyres, and there's no tyre blankets in Formula 2, so the tyres are stone dead cold when they come out of the pit lane. I think Invictus actually just goes to prove that, because he's spun, I think, coming out of the pit lane. So 13th on the grid at the 13th in the order at the moment in that MP Motorsport car. Spins coming out the pit lane on cold tyres. So just goes to show how difficult these cars are to drive, especially on cooler tyres. Scuba then continues to lead this race. So on lap 6, Scuba leads by 11 seconds at the moment. I don't want to curse him, but it kind of looks a little bit like a walk in the park at the moment for Scuba.
Yeah, it's not good. He's driving into the pit right now.
Here he comes in. Does he speed into the pit lane? No, he doesn't. Gets it nice and stopped. Obviously, speed limit as well in Formula 2 is 37 instead of 50, so it's a little bit slower. So maybe a few people caught up by that. But yeah, Scuba into the pit lane, no penalty. So that at the moment gives him about a net 8-second lead, as Conti now picks up a speeding penalty in the pit lane. So another person to fall foul of that. Neymar and Maze are coming into the pit lane. Neymar comes in and he gets it just stopped, and so does Maze as well. So again, half of the drivers that came into the pit lane got a speeding penalty that lap round, and it was this time it was just the one. Sorry, it was Conti instead. I was thinking that both Scuba had one, but he didn't. We just mentioned how he didn't have one, but he comes out onto the track then, does Scuba, with a comfortable advantage. That's Silas. Afri Frisch trying to get the move done on Silas on track. Silas is still yet to pit in this race, and Afri Frisch is going to go to the outside line. Silas is going to break fairly late on the inside line. Afri Frisch is going to have to hold it around the outside, and he does so nicely. Gets the inside line for turn 2. A little bit of a compromised run, but it doesn't really cost him at all. When Afri Frisch then back up into 3rd place on the road. Deadly Flu still yet to pit in this race, currently 20 seconds in the lead. Started on those hard compound tyres. Silas also started on those hards, but he just hasn't looked very comfortable on them at the moment. But Scuba out into the lead of the race, and with that penalty for Afri Frisch, Scuba now has a net 8-second lead.
Yeah, I mean, Scuba, really nice start, but definitely it's probably one of the talking points after this race. The drivers can't be getting 5-second penalties in the pit. It's like, this is the first race, so they have to pick up learning points along the way here.
Yeah, definitely do. But that's one thing to note for future. Obviously, the speed, how good the brakes are in this car, and the speed limit in the pit lane is different for Formula 2. And a lot of people caught out by it. 6 drivers in total then have got a time penalty, I think, for speeding in the pit lane. So that's one thing to look out for as this race goes on. Nearly everyone then has made their mandatory stop in this race. Silas is still yet to pit, and Deadly Flu is still yet to pit in this race for their mandatory stop. And I believe Yitzler pitted fairly early on, but pitted before the mandatory pit stop window, so he might have to pit again in this race, currently down in 13th place. So we're nearly in the full running order. So as it stands, it's Scuba, Afri Frisch and Siege currently on the podium, but Stebian is going to get that 3rd place on penalties as it stands. So for Stebian, for the end of this race, he doesn't need to necessarily pass Siege on track, he just needs to keep within 5 seconds.
Yeah, that's true. And Deadly Flu is still going okay on the hards, still going okay, but Scuba just keeping it within touching distance, definitely.
Yeah. At the moment, yeah, on that lap, Scuba was about 0.8 of a second faster or so. As Siege going for the move down the inside of Silas into turn 1, and yeah, gets the move done nice and easily. Yeah, not really too much about there. I think Silas recognised as well they're not really in the same race at this point, so Siege now up into 4th place.
Oh, let's see. Silas comes back here.
Yeah, trying to come back round the outside. He's going to try and hold it round the outside of turn 4. Maybe try and get round the outside for 5 as well. But I think maybe just the grip isn't quite there with the Campos. And that is Siege then confirmed in 4th place. So Silas drops down into 5th. Siege up into 4th place. He's got to try and gap Stebian, who still is penalty free in this race. Currently running in a net P4, a net P3 once the penalties are applied. So he is next the person to try and have a go at Silas. And he can't get held up too long behind Silas, because Silas really could be the cork in the bottle for the Dams driver.
Yeah, and respect to drivers. This is my first time seeing this group of drivers. Respect, guys. There's a lot of nice driving here. It seems like people know when to let the corner go, and yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see it.
Yeah, definitely is nice to see. I think Conti, meanwhile, in the background, had a little bit of a moment coming out of turn 10, so that's Mashiro now upper places. Afrifresh, Afrifresh from second place has spun the car coming out of turn 11, so two drivers on the same lap, Conti and Afrifresh, have both spun the car, so Afrifresh from a comfortable second place is now going to have to fight his way back through the field.
Not only that, but we have Jetty right back behind Afrifresh now.
Yeah, he's right on the back of the Sharuba in front of Scuba. Sets the fastest lap of the race to boot as well, 40.5. And Jetty really late on the brakes there into the last corner. Doesn't quite get the best run out the corner, but he will have DRS off the back of the Sharuba in front. So can Jetty get this move done? He doesn't necessarily need to get it done because Afrifresh does have a time penalty. Jetty may be going for the move into turn 1 when there's no ERS in these Formula 2 cars. And Jetty decides against it, so he thinks that it's not worth going for the move down the inside. Backs out of it, stays behind Afrifresh for the time being. Maybe recognising that it isn't quite the time to have that battle, but he holds on to 7th place for the time being. Afrifresh, though, now is really going to have to work hard to get back onto the podium, especially with Stebbin without a penalty.
Yeah, definitely. It's a nice start. It depends. These guys, I mean, sometimes it's like, yeah, I know I'm behind. The driver in front has got a time penalty, but getting the ego out of the way, that's something else. It really is.
It definitely is. Yeah, I'm sure Afrifresh is going to desperately want to get back up into second place on the road because that's where he's been running pretty much the entire race. So he'll be gutted that he's spun out of that place as it stands. So we'll wait and see where he can get back to. We're coming on to lap 10, and Deadly Flu is still yet to make his pit stop. And I tell you what, with Afrifresh having a spin, with Conti having a spin himself as well, when a lot of people with pit lane time penalties, all of a sudden Deadly Flu could be in a really good opportunity here once he puts the mediums on.
Yeah, exactly. That's a nice point.
Yeah, definitely is. He's going on to lap 10. He's just actually set the fastest final sector of anybody on that lap to Deadly Flu. So 9 laps in on these hard compound tyres, and he's still finding pace on them.
It is strange not to go in now on mediums. Is probably going to happen soon inside the next lap or two, I guess.
I would imagine so as well. Obviously, the mediums do go off a little bit quicker, but now that there's less fuel in the car, there won't be as much wear. So we'll wait and see as we've got
a nice battle between Silas and Afrifresh.
Yeah, Afrifresh going for the inside line then before the DRS is even open. He's side by side, and I think he's going to get that move done. Does Jetty follow him through as well? Jetty's going to try and keep with him. Oh my word, on the grass. Down the left-hand side of the track there, trying to get the move done around the outside. Little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, nothing too major though, as Jetty loses the rear of the car on the exit of the corner, has to back out of the move. Silas defended hard, but defended well.
Yeah, I think Silas was a little bit surprised by Jetty coming up the left side there.
Yeah, definitely was. I think it was maybe either expecting Jetty to go down the right-hand side or not be there at all. So Silas maybe a little bit caught up by that, but Silas holds on to 6th place for the time being. Jetty can't get the move done, so he's got to try and maybe regroup and go for another move, maybe down towards turn 11 after the second DRS zone. We'll wait and see. On lap 10, still Deadly Flu still yet to pit, as I said earlier on. Scuba runs in the net race lead of this race. Siege runs 2nd place on track, but currently a penalty will drop him to 3rd place as it stands, but we're still quite a way to go. As Jetty really late on the brakes there, caught out by Silas, and had to miss the corner at turn 10. So Jetty maybe getting a little bit frustrated now running in 7th.
Are they getting a little bit frustrated, or is Silas experiencing a little bit of pressure right in front here?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Silas has been on those tyres since the start of the race, and he's right in the thick of the action at the moment. He's been overtaken left, right and centre, so I'm sure that maybe he's struggling a little bit. Jetty's already re-caught the back of him and really late on the brakes into 13. I would imagine he's going to try and get the move done down the pit straight, but Jetty's desperately trying to keep with Afrifresh, who is already 2.3 seconds up the road. So Afrifresh, since passing Silas, has disappeared. Is Jetty going to go for a move at the last corner, maybe round the outside? He is going to go for it round the outside of the last corner. What a move from Jetty.
That was nice.
That was really nice, and at the same time Silas is into the pit lane, so that lets Mashiro go up into 7th place as well. So that worked out brilliantly for Mashiro, and Jetty with a stellar move around the outside of the last corner.
Jetty, if you listen to this, that was nice. Respect.
Yeah, respect to Jetty. I think that might be a candidate for maybe overtake of the race. As it stands, that was a really good move from the ART man. But now all of a sudden he's got to do the defending because Mashiro has re-caught him after Mashiro's little excursion off the track earlier on in the race. He's back up behind him. Can't get the move done into 4, but there's obviously plenty of overtaking opportunities on this track. Someone's had a spin up in front. That is one of the Race Lab cars that's a lap down. That's Yitzler, who's really struggled in this race, currently running in 14th. But remember, we run a little bit of a different point system in the RacingTV, so if you can get to the end of the race, you will score points. So Yitzler is just keeping the car on the track, trying to score those points. Same for Invictus as well, who struggled a little bit in this race. Lap 11, and still Deadly Flu is yet to come into the pit lane.
Keep it going, Deadly Flu, keep it going.
They'll be thinking, maybe I can get to lap 15 and maybe the game won't make me pit.
But Scuba is getting the time back. It's down to 15 seconds now. It was originally 20 seconds, but Mashiro is putting a huge amount of pressure on Jetty right now.
He really is here. Mashiro is absolutely flying then, trying to recover after that earlier excursion. Deadly Flu is into the pit lane then for his mandatory stop, and at the same time Scuba sets the fastest lap of the race. He continues to extend his advantage out front. Now Mashiro, the move on Jetty, that is the closest battle on track. Can he get the move done out of 14 and down the back straight and see what kind of run he gets off the corner? He gets a really nice run off of that corner, so he's going to be right up behind that ART. Where does Deadly Flu come out the pit lane as well? Deadly Flu was in the thick of this battle before the pit stops happened. Here goes Mashiro then down the outside towards turn 1. Jetty moves to the middle of the track.
Deadly Flu's coming out.
Oh, they're going to be 3 wide. Deadly Flu really late on the brakes, and I think Deadly Flu's been able to jump them. He has, and Jetty somehow holds on to the place into turn 1. Really late on the brakes was Jetty, and he held on to it, and he's trying to get the DRS off the back of Deadly Flu, which he does, and that means Mashiro's going to have to be really late on the brakes into 4. He's just about left enough room on the inside, but he doesn't have the momentum. Great defending from Jetty. He holds on to 6th, but crucially for them, Deadly Flu beat the pair of them out of the pit lane.
And that was amazing of Jetty. I mean, Deadly Flu was coming out from one side and Jetty had Mashiro on the other side, and that was... if I had to wage any money there, I definitely would have thought Mashiro would pass Jetty. I don't know how Jetty kept on to that position.
Yeah,
nice
I don't know. Yeah, nice going. So yeah, great defending at the moment. And obviously at the moment, both of the drivers on the track behind him have a time penalty, so... As it stands, this would be great for Jetty to try and defend this. Deadly Flu then out onto the track in 5th place. Fresh set of mediums. He's only got 5 laps on these tyres, so they shouldn't degrade. He's got Afrifish in front of him within penalty range already anyway, so he could be up to 4th. Deadly Flu, if he's got the pace, it's not out of the question that he could be on the podium.
Definitely could be. It'd be nice to see what times he can set now on the mediums. Again, Scuba is setting fast lap times now. That's impressive.
Yeah, 40.3. I think he's nearly a second clear of everyone on the track at the moment. Obviously, after Deadly Flu's pit lane, you would imagine that he will try and go for fastest lap. But we'll wait and see what kind of pace he's got. Round 3 between Jetty and Mashiro now. Mashiro going for another move down towards turn 1. Did Jetty get DRS off of Deadly Flu? No, he did not. So Mashiro has got a clear run, but is a little bit further back this time around. So I don't think he's going to be able to get the move done into turn 1. He isn't going to be able to get it done into turn 1. Thinks better of it. Maybe going to go for a move at 4. Actually ran into the back of Jetty midway through turn 1. So a little bit caught out by Jetty's speed, and maybe that's compromised Mashiro to turn 4. I think it has done because Jetty's also got DRS off the back of Deadly Flu. So again, Mashiro not able to get the move done. Is that... Ooh! I just saw that corner of the screen. Mashiro again. Mashiro's very late on the brakes. There's... Oh! Conti behind him as well. Conti may be caught out by Mashiro. Slow on the exit of the corner. Loses the rear of the car. And for 8th place, Conti's still going in this race, but he's got a massive amount now of front wing damage. He's going to have to pit with that amount of damage, and that's going to drop Conti at least down to 11th place.
That's a pity. I mean, it's really nice driving by Jetty, keeping it nice and safe and patient in 6th place. But Mashiro has had a couple of chances to pass, but hasn't taken it.
Yeah, just hasn't been able to do it so far. He's very late on the brakes as Mashiro, but sometimes that's caught him out more than it's benefited him because he's kind of run into the back of the ART in front and been caught out by the speed differential. So not working at the moment. One person that's also not quite working for is Deadly Flu. He's not really found a lot of pace. The gap between him and Afrifresh is staying level at about 3 seconds, and Scuba still setting fastest laps of the race. He is absolutely flying, loving these cars at the front of the field. He's in a league of his own at the moment, 10.5 seconds clear of Siege, who has a time penalty. So Scuba could end up winning this race by over 15 seconds. Deadly Flu, though, on those medium tyres, just not looking as strong as maybe we thought he would. He's got decent enough pace, but he's not closing in on Afrifresh in front.
No, but I think it's really cool the way you mentioned Scuba. I mean, sometimes the leaders in these races, they definitely don't get enough attention, and but some of the people in the when they're leading the race, they take it nice, they take it easy. Scuba is pushing like crazy here.
He really is. I think it depends on your driving style, really, doesn't it? Because sometimes you can be out front and you can cruise and you'll be fine, but sometimes people make less mistakes when they're on the limit, and maybe Scuba is one of those drivers as Invictus. It's the next person to spin. Oh, and as I say that, on board with Scuba, Scuba spun the car. Scuba just spun the car out of turn 10. He did hit the wall. I think he might have got away with no damage by the looks of things. Amazingly, somehow he's got away with no damage, but Scuba just spun the car out of turn 10. I thought my eyes were deceiving me. I thought I was on board with someone else, but no, Scuba was the one that spun. He got away with it. He did reset to track, so that might be investigated by these stewards. As Invictus has left the session, hopefully he knows there's another race. But Scuba...
That was so cool. Just as we were talking about Scuba, look what happens. Oh my god, that was crazy.
We are really bad with commentator curses today. It's really falling apart for us, isn't it? But yeah, Scuba seems to have got away with no damage, but just running on board with him, he is understeering quite heavily. So we'll wait and see if he loses time to Siege behind. Obviously, Siege would have to get in front and gain 5 seconds on Scuba for him to win this race. So Scuba at the moment is still relatively safe in that lead position, but just goes to show one tiny slip up and it could all be over.
Yeah, that's true. And there are some of these corners that are so tight, and one little lapse of concentration and it's race over. So definitely exciting now. Siege can definitely see Scuba right in front now, knows that something has happened, and it's got the gap down to 4.5 to 4.8 seconds.
Yeah, it's coming down now. It's about half, just over half the gap now has between them. So yeah, like you say, Siege recognising that maybe a little bit of a mistake has come in for Scuba. Unfortunately, doesn't quite have the pace at this moment in time to capitalise on it, but we'll wait and see how this race goes on. If Scuba can make one mistake, he can definitely make another, so we'll wait and see how it pans out. Deadly Free, meanwhile, still not really closing on an Afri Frisch. It's come down by a few tenths, but it's still hovering around 3 seconds. But at the moment, that is more than enough for Deadly Free to take 4th place in this race. And Afri Frisch is closing in on the back of Stebian for 3rd on the road. The problem for Afri Frisch is that time penalty, so even if he goes to 3rd on the road, he's not going to get 3rd in this race. Stebian, just at this moment in time, within penalty range of Siege for 2nd place. Stebian, while he's not had the pace, he's kept it nice and clean and consistent, and is doing enough to get him a 2nd place in his first race.
Definitely, and it's obviously a nice tactic to drive around here. Don't get time penalties. Don't get time penalties. So we see over half the grid have already massed up time penalties. So it's an easy way of focusing on the race. Just stay in between the lines. Don't get time penalties.
It really is. Yeah, it works out for some people better than others. Obviously, sometimes if you're not as fast and you're trying not to get penalties, you do lose pace. But Stebian seems to be keeping pace relatively clean without getting penalties as well, so he's doing a good job. And again, Scuba, recovered from that spin quite well. He definitely hasn't got any damage. Another fastest lap from Scuba of 40.2 goes clear out in front on those hard compound tyres. I think he spun maybe just to entertain us a little bit, maybe make us be a little bit on edge. And as I say that, Deadly Flew now sets the fastest lap of the race. So he's finally got that fastest lap point up into 5th place, in behind Mashiro, going for another move on Jetty into turn 1. Is he late enough on the brakes? Jetty moves to the inside line, defends it. Mashiro trying to go round the outside of the corner. Is he trying to get the inside line for turn 2? Is not close enough, runs into the back of Jetty in turn 2 again, and now maybe going for a move towards turn 4. Jetty immediately to the right hand side of the track to defend the line. He goes to the middle of the road and realises that Mashiro's too far back, so again Mashiro just not able to get past this ART.
This is one of these last lap battles. It's so cool.
It really is. He's just desperate trying to get this move done on track. Unfortunately, at the moment, the penalty is going to cost Mashiro. Maybe hoping that Jetty gets a penalty at some point on the last lap. But Mashiro's been stuck behind that ART for at least half of this race and just hasn't been able to make the move done. Svensson, meanwhile, always side by side with Neymar and loses the rear of the car. And Neymar repasses Svensson. I was just about to say Svensson got the move done, and he's just been re-overtaken by Neymar, who's back up into 8th place. So that's another one of those last lap battles going on. We're going to ride back on board with Scuba as he comes through the final few corners, and he is flying. He's going for another fastest lap. This could be a 39 from Scuba, as Mashiro, I think, has finally got the move done on Jetty around the outside of turn 11. He's got the move done. He waited till the last opportunity to do it, but he's done it. But it's not going to be worth anything at this point unless Jetty gets a penalty.
Jetty's back!
Is he back down the inside? He is going for the move. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Scuba, we're nearly going to miss it. He's been so far out in front. He crosses the line in just a 39.9 on the last lap to get fastest lap again. Scuba is going to win the first race of the season. Siege will cross the line in second, but a penalty is going to cost him to Stebian, who gets second place by 9/10 of a second over Siege. Deadly Flu gets fourth ahead of Afri Frisch. Jetty and Mashiro cross the line side by side, and Jetty gets sixth place on the road as well. So Mashiro couldn't quite get it on the road. Mashiro drops back because of a penalty anyway. Jetty 6th, Mashiro 7th. Neymar will cross the line in 8th place, and hopefully I think the reverse grid rule will stay in, because if it hasn't without the custom grid, then it might not be that case. But if we do continue with this reverse grid rule, then Neymar will be the person on reverse grid pole for the sprint race. You thought that was fun. We've got another race to go yet. So Neymar crosses the line in 8th place. Svensson crosses the line in 9th place. Mays will be next to cross the line in 10th after a fairly truncated race for most of these people at the back of the field. Actually, it's been a little bit of a difficult race. May is going to cross the line in 10th place ahead of Silas, who's going to cross the line in 11th. Conti and Yitzler will be the last people to cross the line. Conti, obviously, after a spin a few laps ago. Yitzler had a spin early on in the race and had hefty damage at the start and just hasn't been able to recover from it, unfortunately. He'll be the last person to cross the line a lap down, but the good thing for Yitzler is that he's stuck with it and he's going to score the points. So while he maybe didn't have the race he would have wanted, he's going to be ahead of Invictus, Honey Badger and Gort in the championship.
I like that you dared to say, and he's going to finish the race.
I mean, yeah, coming out the last corner, it looks like it's okay. Yeah, he's fine.
Now it's okay, yeah.
Now it's okay to say that he's going to finish the race. So yeah, so does get the points then for crossing the line, which is good to see. And that's one thing as well about this about championships as well, is if you have the bad races, you just got to stick with it and score the points.
Yeah, definitely. Driver today, old Svensson. All right.
Svensson, yeah, most places gained of the people on the track. He finished this race in 9th place in the end. Fingers crossed. We've had a couple of people leave the lobby, so fingers crossed they can rejoin before the start of the sprint race. But Svensson with the most places gained in that race. It might have been Honey Badger without that mistake earlier on. But let's run you through the full order of the first feature race of the season around Bahrain. So it's Scuba that wins the race and gets pole and gets fastest lap and leads. Well, he didn't lead every lap in the end because of the different strategy. But Scuba with a great result in the first race of the season. Stebian gets second place because of the penalty for Siege, who crosses the line in 3rd place. Then Deadly Flu gets 4th after a fairly awful first lap. He recovered well on that alternate strategy. Afri Frisch spinning out of 2nd place drops to 5th. Jetty and Mashiro had an amazing battle in that race, and it's Jetty that comes out in top in 6th place. Mashiro 7th. Neymar on reverse grid pole in 8th place. Svensson, Mays, Silas, Conti, Yitzler, Invictus. Honey Badger and Gort are the people that took part in the race. Invictus, Honey Badger and Gort are retiring from the race because of 3 separate accidents. So a crazy feature race to start off the season, and I tell you what, that is some gauntlet that Scuba has laid down for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that was nice. Respect to Scuba. Really amazing driving. And the 139.9 at the end, that respect.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. That is really, really fast. The only other people that got close, Afri Frisch, are 40.2 on a set of hards. That's a good lap time. Did for 40.1, but on the mediums. But yeah, like you say, no one else able to get into the 39s, and he did that on a set of hards. So Scuba looking very comfortable in these cars. It looks like maybe Scuba's the one that's done the most practice before this race.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there was also, we got to say, the respect for the nice driving. It's so much better to commentate when we get nice battles on the track, and people give each other enough space when they should be giving space.
Yeah, it's great to see. We've had some great battles in that race, so fingers crossed we'll get even more of it. And that's tends to what happened in a sprint race. A reverse grid does throw up a completely different order and a completely different challenge for these drivers. So if the custom grid hasn't affected the lobby and we do get a reverse grid order for the sprint race, Neymar's on pole position. So Neymar obviously finished a little bit far off the top 7. The top 7 were quite heavily clear of the rest of the field. How do you think Neymar's head's going to be going into this race? Do you think he's going to be going all out trying to gun for the win, or just trying to keep it clean?
Keep it clean. No. That's like, okay, just don't look in the mirror, just go. I mean, it's one of the nicest things, getting out in pole position and seeing what happens. It's so nice.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's gonna want to try and keep it clean as well. Like you say, try and get as many points as possible. Reverse grid pole is a great opportunity to showcase your driving, but we'll wait and see how it does that. By the looks of things, though, it does look like the custom grid has affected the lobby, unfortunately. So that means we might not be getting reverse grid. No, we aren't going to get a reverse grid for the sprint race. So, unfortunately, no reverse grid means that Scuba's on pole position for the 3rd time tonight, technically, with that lobby glitch. Without that lobby glitch, the 2nd time tonight. So Scuba, great opportunity to take a double.
Yeah. I mean, oi. Oh,
Or was
no.
Afrifrish just crashed into the back of them? They're coming into turn one, so they've actually just been disqualified from the formation. Well, Afrifrish has been disqualified from the formation. Now Scuba keeps going, so we'll wait and see how this one plays out. But yeah, Scuba then on pole position. Afrifrish now. Great opportunity for Afrifish to recover from what looked like it could have been a good race in the first race of the evening, but ended up being a little bit of a disappointing finish for him.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, the drivers have to be able to evaluate here. It is the first race. It is to get the feelers out. What's the atmosphere like in the group? What are the other drivers like? What's the track like? So having an okay race in the first race of the season, that's not too bad.
Yeah, definitely not too bad. We'll wait and see. He's obviously got the pace for the rest of the season, has Afrifresh. That's good to see. He's got speed, so he just needs to work on maybe a little bit of consistency, and then the season will come to him. It is a long season. While there's only 11 weeks of this championship, it is 22 races, so basically a full Formula 1 calendar. So a lot of races for these guys to work through. On to the second race of the season now, the sprint race for this one. So we'll wait and see how this one is going to pan out. It's going to be pretty interesting to watch, see how the dynamic changes for this second race, because obviously there's now no mandatory pit stop rule in this race. That means everyone can start on the hards and finish the race on the same set of tyres. There's no strategy involved now, so plays a little bit of a different aspect into this race now, doesn't it?
Yeah, but also I think what was really good for those that saw or maybe heard Scuba had a spin, if they're listening on to the commentary, that also provides a little bit of hope. Okay, so anything can happen to anybody around this track.
Yeah, definitely can. If Scuba, someone that was so dominant in the first race, can make a mistake like that, then yeah, anything can happen in this one. Who knows? And it all leads off the start.
He lost, was it 15 seconds maybe he lost in that spin?
It was about 7 or 8 seconds or so he lost in that spin. He had it would have been a net 15-second lead by the time he was in the lead of the race. That dropped to about 4 seconds. So yeah, he dropped a considerable amount of time with that spin. Amazingly, he didn't pick up any damage, but any damage he could have picked up would have heavily hindered him with these cars. We head into the sprint race though. Hard to bet against Scuba, maybe taking the double though, isn't it?
Come on, Honey Badger!
Yeah, great opportunity here for Honey Badger to recover from what was a disappointing feature race in the end. Had an amazing start on the hard tyres. He knows how to handle these hard tyres for the start of the race. So does Deadly Flu as well. Maybe trying to recover from what was a terrible start in the first race. Maybe he has a bit more experience coming off the line on these hard tyres the second time round. But here come the lights then for the sprint race. Scuba and Afrifish again on the front row. Who's going to get the best start? Lights are out a lot quicker this time round, and away they go. And what a start from Scuba, as one of the BWC cars at the back of the field, the Race Labs has spun. That was Gort, and what a start from Scuba, just disappeared off the line.
We got a lot of traffic. Oh, there's collisions.
Yeah, a little bit of collision towards the back there. 3 wide there. That's Mashiro. Maze, I think, was getting in that. Mashiro and Jetty again going at it side by side. Deadly Foo, another poor start. Someone's had a spin in the background.
Honey Badger.
Oh yeah, Honey Badger that spun the car off. Very similar to where Grosjean had that horrific accident in real life Bahrain. He's got away. He's got some damage though as Honey Badger. So that's going to drop him right to the back of the field. At the front of the field though, it is Stebbian that's in the lead of the race. I've completely missed this. As someone where on earth has Scuba gone? Scuba's dropped to 8th. So I've completely missed this. Scuba has made a mistake.
This is what we want.
What we want, yeah, a little bit of a battle throughout the field, and my word, Jetty and Mashiro still going at it. Scuba then drops down to 8th place, and now he's got to work his way back through the field again. That's the high-tech driver. He's right behind. Oh, he's been hit from behind as well by Neymar. They just about get away with it, but that's going to cost him time as Deadly Flew, for the second race in a row, despite being on the same tyres now as everyone else, Deadly Flew, another terrible start.
This is nice. This is what we want. We want to see a nice battle. It's 12 laps. They're very tightly packed at the moment, and we have Scuba in 8th place. So this is leading up for something really fun.
It definitely is. This is going to be fun to watch, to see how fast Scuba can work his way through the field, if he can at all. That's one thing to look out for. Scuba, though, if you get to watch this stream back, anyone that's watching the stream, that is how you do a race start. Scuba launched off the line and disappeared before turn 1. That was an amazing start. That's one of the best starts I've seen in a Formula 2 car. Meanwhile, Deadly Fluid trying to work his way back through the field after that poor start down the inside of Mashiro, coming down towards turn 1. And Jetty is side by side, I think, with Conti coming down towards turn 1 years as well. Conti's had a strong start to this race. place after a poor showing in the feature race. Round the outside of turn 1 goes Conti. Jetty can't get down the inside, is not late enough on the brakes, and Conti holds on to the place. But down the inside of turn 3 comes Jetty with a great exit to the corner, and he's going to get the move done. Conti a little bit squirrely on the exit. Jetty up a place, and Mashiro trying to follow him through, but can't do it. Jetty, I tell you what, wheel-to-wheel compact. Jetty has got it, as Scuba side by side with Deadly Food now trying to work his way back through the field. He's going to get up the inside for turn 6, gets the move done, so Scuba's up into 7th place. He's ticked off one of them already. Next target for him is Mashiro, but I tell you what, he's going to have a real problem when he gets to Jetty, isn't he?
I totally agree. I mean, some of these battles here with Jetty and Mashiro, that was pretty cool. We want more of that.
Yeah, more of that, please. That was great stuff. Jetty really, really strong driving as Conti a little bit wide there out of turn 10, and Mashiro straight on the power on the exit of the corner gets that move done up into 5th place, and Scuba trying to capitalise on Conti's poor exit as well down the inside towards turn 11. No DRS, who's late enough on the brakes. Conti very late on the brakes around the outside of the corner. Can he hold it on the exit? Maybe. He runs a little bit wide. Scuba takes a much tighter line up towards 12, and Conti has to back out of it. Scuba then up another place, up into 6th. We've got 10 laps to go when we cross the line, and Neymar has now spun the car.
No.
Yeah, well, who should have been on reverse grid pole position. He's spun the car. He's out of the race, then drops to 15th. Honey Badger's still going in this race, which is good to see. He's out on a set of medium tyres, so maybe going for the fastest lap in this race as well. So look out for that. At the front of the field, though, Stebian leads, but Afrifresh is slowly but surely closing in, and so is Siege. So both Chiru cars looking fast. Afrifresh with the fastest lap of the race as well. And I think with the pace that he's got, it might not be too long before Afrifresh goes for a move here on Stebian.
Definitely looks like it. Can Afrifresh be a little bit patient here? Put a tiny bit of pressure on Steban and see what happens.
Yeah, maybe don't want to go for the move too quickly in this one. Obviously, you don't want to make the mistake. Is he going to go for a move maybe into turn 4? He looks to the inside, isn't going to go for it. He's going to wait and sit back for the time being, which is good to see. He doesn't need to rush to make the move. Any rushes for a move that isn't necessarily going to be on is what's going to cost you maybe a spin or some damage. So look out for that one as this goes on.
Afrifresh is driving pretty carefully, or braking a little bit early. Testing, seeing what's happening.
Yeah.
Gonna wait.
I think he's just trying to suss out where Stebian is maybe faster, maybe where he's weak, and then he'll be able to pounce on the Damned's driver at those certain points on the track. Afrifish very late on the brakes there into turn 10, gets the car stopped nicely low. Siege, though, is just behind them as well, so any sort of mistake from his teammate, and Siege can capitalise. Got a good run, though, here. Has Afrifish down towards 11, and Stebian moving to the inside of the track. Afrifish, though, again deciding against going for the move, recognising that it isn't the best place to overtake anybody into turn 11, so he's just going to sit back and wait for the right opportunity, which is good to see. It's good to see that he's not rushing into any sort of move, as Honey Badger again has spun the car, unfortunately down in 15th place. He's spun coming out of 2 and into 3, and I tell you what, he's had some good pace, but this is going to be a night to forget for Honey Badger.
He'll come back stronger. Come on, Honey Badger, come back again.
Yeah, come back again. He's going to have to be stronger in the next one, unfortunately, but that is such a shame to see. He's got a lot of pace, but unfortunately this just hasn't been a great night for him, as he's struggling again coming out of turn 4. He's just got no grip really in that high tech, and he's got front wing damage as well. Mashiro fastest lap of the race that time round.
This is building up for something special now. We have Afrifresh, who is taking the lead.
Goes down the inside.
Top 3-4 cars are still so tight here.
Yeah, Siege now trying to get the move done, maybe trying to follow his teammate through. A 1-2 for Chiru in the sprint race would be great to see. Is Siege going to get this move done? Maybe into turn 4. Not close enough. Stebian has DRS to defend, so he'll be able to hold on for the time being. Meanwhile, it's round number, I've lost count, between Jetty and Mashiro. This time round for P4, and they've got Scuba right in the thick of it as well. And if Mashiro's learned anything from the previous race, he's got to find the right opportunity to get past Jetty, because Jetty is very good at defending.
Definitely. What a battle between these two. This is, and it's good to see. It's good to see that they seem to be respecting each other. They seem to be giving each other a tough time. Jetty's defending really well. That's what we also like. It is also a part of driving around here, how to know how to defend. So it's really good. And Scuba right behind Mashiro, waiting for, I wonder what's going to happen, these two guys in front.
Yeah, I think maybe he might do a similar thing to maybe what we saw some people do in that previous race, where people are going to go for moves and it'll be too wide, and they may struggle a little bit for pace, and Scuba can capitalise at that point, maybe go 3 wide somewhere and get maybe 1 or 2 of them. He's actually going to go for a move here at 13 down the inside of Mashiro, really late on the brakes, but it's not really an overtaking opportunity. Gets a good run off the corner, so he might have a go into the last corner, try and maybe repeat Jetty's amazing move that he pulled on Silas in the first race, but he's not close enough, so we'll wait and see. But Mashiro is going to have DRS on the pit straight, so that's going to be difficult for Scuba to get the move done, unless he gets an amazing launch off the last corner like he just did. Can he get the move done? Afri Frisch, fastest lap of the race, as he leads, trying to pull away at the front, but Stebbian still within his DRS. And I tell you what, Mashiro's car, very fast in a straight line. Scuba can't get anywhere near, and oh my word, Scuba very late on the brakes. Yeah, had to dart to the left-hand side to avoid hitting the back of the Uni Virtuosi.
Scuba actually came out of that okay. That could have been a lot worse.
It really could, yeah. Not a good thing that he recognised that early on. If he hadn't recognised that, then that could have been a horrible crash for Scuba, and that could have taken him well out of contention or out of the race completely. And Mashiro as well. As always, I say that.
No, Scuba spins.
Yeah, he's done exactly what he did in the first race, but this time at turn 4, and this time he's not got away with it. He was down in the pack and he's broken his front wing. So Scuba, from a great feature race, this is going to affect him badly in the championship, because while he had a dominant display in the feature race, those that were at the front of the field in the feature race are again at the front of the field in the sprint race. So this is a disaster for Scuba.
Yeah, that was strange. It was a strange place to spin off, but again, it happens. So
yeah. Like you say, it does. It happens. It's all about how you can bounce back from it. Unfortunately, Scuba is going to just try and finish this race. Obviously, he's going to have to come in and repair that front wing, but it was good to see him just finish the race and score the points, and then he'll be able to come back at the Chinese round and maybe pick up where he left off in the feature race. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, now that Sebian's lost DRS to Afri Frisch, Siege is all over the back of him in that second Charu.
And huge amount of pressure here Siege is putting on.
Yeah, he's putting on so much. Coming out of this last corner, you would imagine this is going to be a fairly easy move for Siege down towards turn 1. Let's see how good of the run is out the corner. The gap's only 2/10 when they cross the line. Actually, it's less than that, 1.5, and Siege is going to move to the inside line. And I think Stebbian, recognising smartly that it's not a good battle really to have, because if these two start battling, Mashiro and Majetti are going to come at them, and this time round, finally, it took him a race and a half to do it, but Mashiro has finally got the move done on Jetty, and Mashiro is now up into 4th place, staring at a podium.
That was so good. A race and a half.
He got there in the end, though, midway through the sprint race, and Mashiro, I think he'll finally be able. I think he'll be happy now that he's not staring at the back of the ART, and now he'll be staring at the back of a Dams, maybe looking for a podium.
I think Jetty's going to strike back here.
Yeah, got to keep out for this one. This is at the moment a 4-way battle for second in this race, because Siege.
We have a spin of Silas. Silas spin off the track.
Yeah, turn 4, I think that is as well. Yeah, same spot as Siege. He's got away with no damage by the looks of things, so Silas can continue on without having to come into the pit. Scuba is in the pit lane, meanwhile, by the way, coming back out onto the track in 14th. Both high-tech cars then 14th and 15th. That's been a real shame for both of them. They've really struggled in this one, but they can pick up maybe a fastest lap point from this one. We've had another spin at turn 4, and this time it's Yitzler that spun the car for Race Lab. So turn 4 really catching people out.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's one of those corners where people just switch off for half a second. Okay, they've got through the first 3 swings. This is okay, and then it's that hits.
Yeah, definitely is. And obviously the exit of turn 4, there's a little bit of a dip on the exit of the corner where it meets the shorter circuit, really. So it can catch people out. If you say, like you say, they're not concentrating fully, it can catch people out fairly easily.
Okay, Jetty, come on, Jetty, strike back.
Yeah, he's looked like he's got a great run here coming down as Mashiro actually set the fastest lap of the race, but Jetty's still going to come at him in towards turn 1. How late is Jetty going to be on the brakes down the inside? Mashiro's quite early on the brakes. Jetty runs slightly into the back of him. They get away with it though. Mashiro holds on to 4th place for the time being, but Jetty looks very strong in the second half of the lap, doesn't he?
Definitely. This is the battle we wanted to see. We wanted to see these tight at the front. We have extremely tight now between 2nd up to 5th place. We've got 6 laps left of the race. So again, first race this season, everybody wants to impress. Everybody wants to show what they got. So I think the drivers are going to give a little bit extra right now. Yeah,
they definitely are. Especially in a battle like this, you want to be the one that comes out on top. It's a real stamp of approval for the rest of the season from your fellow contenders if you can get a really good result out of these races. Stebbian under a little bit of pressure here. You can tell Stebbian maybe doesn't quite have the same pace as the drivers around him, but is very neat and tidy. His car is not sliding on the exit of the corners. He's not understeering. He's not locking up. It's very clean driving from Stebbian at the moment. Just goes to show that multiple different driving styles can work in these cars.
Yeah, exactly, and no time penalties, keeping it clean, keeping it tidy, defending okay. It definitely means a lot.
Definitely does, yeah. Then coming on to lap 8 will be when we cross the line. So this sprint race is absolutely flown by. And Afrifresh now at the front of the field, not having to push as much. He's got 2.3 second gap back to his teammate. And I tell you what, Sharu will be happy with a 1-2 in the sprint race. That's great for them in the manufacturer's standings. We'll look out for that as we come into the second round, what the team standings is going to be, especially between High-Tech and Sharu. Those have been the two fastest teams in terms of raw pace today. So coming across the line to start lap 8, Sijon still under a little bit of a pressure from Stibian behind, but Stibian isn't quite close enough to make the move into turn 1, I don't think. I mean, who knows, but I think Siege is going to have this one into turn 1. He'll be fine.
Oh, Jetty very, very late on the brakes and lost a lot of distance now.
Yeah, that's a shame for Jetty. Maybe just caught out by having a lot of straight line speed, being in 3 different drivers' DRS, and that's mean that he's now lost DRS out to Mashiro in front. So Jetty now is really going to have to push to try and get back up to them, or hope that they really start to battle. Ooh, as I say that, I think I just cut off wall with him, but he had a massive moment out of turn 4. Held on to it, but that's just cost him even more time.
It's exactly the same space again. It is the space on the track that's catching a lot of drivers out today after turn 4.
It really is, yeah. So Jetty gets away with it without getting any damage. Honey Badger picks up a 3-second time penalty, but he's currently running in 15th and last place on the road, so that's not going to cost him too much. It's not going to cost him anything at this point in the race. Jetty then 5th place now, a little bit detached from this battle from 2nd place. He'll hope for a little bit of carnage from those drivers in front to get him back into contention. A bit further down as well, Deadly Flu hasn't really been able to recover from that poor start. Started 3rd on the grid. Great qualifying from Deadly Flu. 3rd place on the grid was really good, but just at the start of the race especially, that seems to be his Achilles heel, because his mid-race actual speed seems strong, but at the start of the race, he just doesn't seem to get the car off the line very well.
Yeah, that's true. We also have Mays defending the Gort 78 right behind. Nice little battle on there.
Yeah, trying to hold on to that 8th place at the moment ahead of him. So this, these two a little bit of a nice battle. Good to see battles throughout the field then. Gort struggled a little bit in the first race, obviously retired from the race after contact with the wall, so he's trying to recover some points in this race. Mays as well had a little bit of a lackluster first race, finishing in 10th place. So these two trying to prove something to themselves as well by getting a bit of a better result in the sprint race, currently running 8th and 9th, so that's good for them. Front of the field, I tell you what, Afrifresh, his lead has been cut by about a second, so I don't know whether he's made a mistake or whether Siege is starting to work his way forwards a little bit.
Oh,
that's Deadly Flu. Deadly Flu, sorry, has just spun coming out of turn 2, sorry, into turn 3. So another person to spin, my word. People are really struggling for traction around this track, and this time it's not turn 4, it's turn 2, and Deadly Flu drops to 7th. That's him down a place. He's at the moment safe to Maze behind, but again, another person struggling with the rear of the car.
Yeah. I mean, we have, but it is a good sign. It's a good sign for the season. It's a good sign for the races. Hopefully, the drivers will see back over this and see that, okay, anybody here can spin and lose control of the car.
Yeah, and as you say that, Yitzler's retired from the session in the pit lane, and Gort, his teammate, has spun as well, coming out of 4, and Scuba's left the lobby, unfortunately. So, fingers crossed he can join back, but he's currently running in 11th place. He's completed most of the race, so I imagine he'll still get the points. But Gort was another person to spin. Gort spun battling with Mays, coming out of turn 4 again. So, another spinner at turn 4. And now Jetty with a time penalty. So, that battle for him, maybe getting back onto the podium, that's all but come to an end with that time penalty, unfortunately. And I tell you what, Siege is starting to close in a little bit on his teammate.
Siege is definitely closing in. We were talking about in the first race about the type of driver that you have in the lead, the driver that's actually pushing in the driving style, or if they're going to relax. Maybe Afrifresh is relaxing a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe he is. It all depends. As Mashiro looking down the inside of Sebi into turn 1, but Mashiro not quite late enough on the brakes. He's not going to be able to get the move done on the Dams driver, so he holds on to 4 for the time being, but he's desperate to get onto that podium. I think maybe a little bit frustrated in the feature race, stuck behind Jetty for as long as he was. He's now trying to get this move done on the Dams as quickly as possible, but Stebian keeping it nice and neat and on the racing line. Unfazed, Stebian has not put a foot wrong tonight. I don't want to curse him. I mean, we've cursed pretty much everyone that we could possibly do tonight, but fingers crossed it stays this way for Stebian, currently running in 3rd place and with a 2nd place in the first race as well. Stebian could very likely be in the lead of the championship after this round if he holds on to this podium. Deadly Flu, meanwhile, has spun.
Flu has spun off,
yeah, turn 2 again. So Deadly Flu, I'm wondering whether these guys are maybe just cooking their tyres a little bit.
I don't know, but we see Afrifresh is down to 1.4 seconds now, so we have 2.5 laps left. This could go all the way down.
It really could, yeah. It's all a bit of a battle for pride now between the two Sharu cars. Who's going to get the second win of the season? Scuba has rejoined the lobby, thankfully, so he'll be able to get back in control of his car. Currently running in 11th place and is safe in that 11th place as it stands. Mashiro still trying to get that moved on Stebia.
It's so tight now.
Yeah, he really is all over the back of him. I tell you what, one thing to note, Mashiro, in the midpoint of a corner, he's got so much grip in the middle of the corner. If he can be late enough and confident enough on the brakes like it was there, then he should easily be able to get this move done. And as I say, that Stebian gets a poor run out of the corner, and this could be easy meat for Mashiro.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it.
Yeah, down the outside, then down towards...
That's nice driving of Mashiro. He was patient, he waited until something happened.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, didn't try and force any moves, waited for a mistake, and the mistake came. Mashiro's rewarded then with a third place. Now he's just got to try and keep it clean towards the end of the race. Mashiro will get his first podium of the season. Stebian just doesn't quite have the pace at this point to hold on to it, but it's still got a fourth place pretty much in the bag unless any sort of mistake comes from him. Front of the field, the timing has disappeared on my end, so I can't quite see the gap between the two Sharu cars, but the gap doesn't seem to have come down too much. So Afrifresh, I think, like you said a little bit earlier on, maybe realising that he doesn't need to push as much and is just relaxing a little bit.
Yeah, maybe. It's dangerous. It's a dangerous thing to do. We have Mashiro who hasn't given up yet.
Yeah, definitely. It is, like you say, it is a dangerous thing to do. If you put a foot wrong, the gap is now smaller than it was. So any little mistake here is going to cost you. So while he's maybe backing off, he can't lapse in concentration like we've seen from a few drivers tonight. Some of these races and some of these parts of this track, as Silas now picks up another time penalty. He's currently running in 8th place as it stands, but he's comfortably ahead of Deadly Flu, who's had a couple spins in this race. So 8th place for Silas will be a good race for him after the feature race that he had. Afrifresh then leading. We're coming towards the final lap of the race, and I tell you what, this race has got panned out very differently to how I thought it was. I thought at the start of this race Scuba would kind of clear off into the distance, but actually it's been a Sharu domination so far.
But that is so cool for the race, it's so cool for the season, because right now it's based on some of the battles we've seen, it's like there's quite a few of these drivers can be aiming for the top 7, 8th place.
Yeah, quite a few drivers, and obviously we've still got more drivers that will compete throughout the season. Some people are obviously not here tonight that will be here next week, so who knows how they're going to fit into the group of drivers as well. And one thing to note as well, while Scuba's pace may be a little bit threatening to the rest of the field, mistakes have crept in, and a couple of times now tonight Scuba's compromised the shot of a win. He got away with it in the feature race, but this time around he didn't get away with it. So as we head to more difficult tracks, especially tracks like China, which are equally as difficult as this one, while Scuba may have the pace, he maybe just needs to iron out those little errors.
Yeah, that's true, and it is about keeping the concentration. It definitely is. It's being out in the lead is one thing, but keeping the concentration is something totally different. So, but it's going to be so much fun. This looks like a great group of drivers, and we have already seen some amazing battles here today.
Yeah, we really have. It has been a great night of racing. We're on the final lap of the race, and the gap is 1.3 seconds between our top two. Afrifresh has kept it safe to his teammates so far. Just one sector to go for him before he gets his first win of the season, and the top four have spread out a little bit now. Scuba, fastest lap of the race, as you would expect, so he's going to get the 0.4 fastest lap, so that's some sort of benefit for him in this race. A bit further down, Deadly Flu got the moved on Silas down the pit straight towards turn 1, so he's back up into 8th place, but we don't know how many penalties Deadly Flu has compared to Silas, so he might lose that place towards the end of this one, and he might lose out to Gort as well, who's just a bit further back. But into the final corner, Afrifresh struggled a little bit in the feature race, had a spin, dropped him down to 5th place. He's recovered beautifully in the sprint race, and Afrifresh is gonna win the first sprint race of the season, our second winner of the season. His teammate Siege is going to cross the line in second, and Mashiro very happy, as you can see, 3rd place on the podium for him. Stebian gets 4th, and with that might be in the lead of the championship heading into the second round of the season. Jetty 5th. What a shame for him, he had that little bit of a mistake and it put him out of contention for the podium. Conti crosses the line in P6 for me, and then Maze will be next to cross the line in 7th. Deadly Flu is right up behind him. Someone spun. I think that was Scuba that's just spun towards the end of the lap, or that might have actually been Honey Badger that spun. We'll wait and see. But out of the final corner, Deadly Flu's got a great run here on Maze. They're going to go side by side towards the line, but Maze is just about going to hold on towards the line. He does. Deadly Flu crosses the line, stays P8. Silas is going to drop to P10 behind the Gort, who recovers after an early spin. Scuba now recovering after what was damage after a spin at turn 4 fairly early on. He's going for the fastest lap of the race, but he's already got it, so he doesn't really need to to really go for it, and Honey Badger was the person that spun. So Honey Badger will cross the line in 14th, does pick up the points, but again a disappointing race for him, and that's just I say that he spins out the last corner again. So Honey Badger getting ready to come towards the line now, and once Honey Badger has crossed the line, that will be all our drivers. Svendon and Invictus unfortunately not in their car, so they will not score the points for this race. Honey Badger then will be the last person to finish as he crosses the line for High Tech in what was a disappointing sprint race for the two High Tech drivers, but just goes to show, like you say, we've got a real fight on our hands for this championship.
Definitely, it's so. Congrats to Mashiro.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I mean, like, okay, who do I think is going to be in the podium in the next race? Pretty much no idea. I mean, like, it can be 7 or 8 drivers at the moment. So that's really cool. It's really cool to be a commentator when it's like that.
It definitely is. Look at that. We've got Michael Schumacher standing on the top step of the podium. That's brilliant to see, isn't it? So that is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so it is Afrifrish then that wins this round of the season. The sprint race goes to Afrifrish. That is brilliant stuff to see. So he recovers well from what was a disappointing feature race. It's a Sharu 1-2, so that should hopefully put them, I think that does actually put them in the lead of the team's championship going into the second round. So a great start to the season for them. Mishiro on the podium as well. Stebian drops to 4th, but has had a great night of racing, a 2nd and 4th place for him. And especially with Scuba down in 11th place, that could put Stebian in the lead of the championship. It could put Siege actually in the lead of the championship as well. 2 podiums for him, so we'll wait and see how that pans out. Jetty in 5th, great night of racing for him. He showed great wheel-to-wheel combat today, so look out for him later on in this season. He could be a real threat. Conti, good recovery after an early mistake. Mays, Dediflu, Gore and Silas round off the top 10. Scuba was the last finisher. Scuba in 11th place. Honey Badger the last driver finisher in 14th. Svendon and Invictus weren't in their cars, so they're not going to score the points for 12th and 13th. Yitzler and Neymar were our 2 retirees from this race, and I think driver of the evening for you, who do you think was the best driver of today?
The best driver is a tough one, but maybe one that we mentioned a lot is definitely Scuba. Antifresh, that was great driving. Then Mashiro and Jetty, the battle for me, that was the best. That was the highlight of today.
Yeah, that for me as well, that has got to be the highlight of the races today, that battle between Jetty and Mashiro in the feature race. Great battle between those two, and I think Jetty as well, already a contender for maybe overtaking this season with that move in the feature race around the outside of Silas at the last corner. That was a stunning overtake from Jetty. I'm sure he'll be pretty proud of that, and I think he'll be pretty proud with tonight's racing. But that is where we are going to round off the stream today, guys. That is the end of tonight's racing. Absolutely brilliant stuff that we had tonight. And thank you so much as well, Brandon, for joining me in the commentary box for the first time. Cannot wait to continue commentating with you for the rest of the season. I'm sure it's going to be great fun to commentate this for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that was good fun. Thanks. That was really a really nice start.
Yeah, really, really good to see. Okay, so keep in tune, obviously, with League Racing TV for next week as well. We are back racing with Divisions 1 on Tuesday, Division 2 and 3 on Thursday, and Division 4 and 5 on Friday. Wednesday is the Sprint League, so look out for that one as well. I'll be commentating that alongside Luke Etheridge, and then we will be back here next Sunday for the second round of the season at the Chinese Grand Prix. But from myself and Brendan, it is thank you very much and goodbye.